Hello and welcome back to Inside Carrington. It is episode 2 of our brand new podcast. It might be International Week, but everything is still ongoing at Manchester United's headquarters. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be hearing from Diogo Dalot about what goes on international duty. I will be joined by our commentator Liam and of course Phil Jones, who has 27 caps for England. He's going to be giving us an insight into what goes on in the England dressing room too. And today we have a very special guest. Director of Women's Football Matt Johnson is joining, and he's going to be giving us all the build up to that massive game on Wednesday night at Old Trafford against PSG.
To be honest, we cannot complain because the South Americans have to do a longer travel, so we just have to fly 2 hours. It's not that bad.
What we want to do is go deep in all the competitions, and I generally believe that on any night, any day, the squad that we've got can compete with anyone in Europe. You've got this really cohesive group that want to play for Man United, enjoy playing for Man United, are proud of playing for Man United.
I always felt much more pressure playing for Man United than England.
I don't call it home anymore because I'm here for a long time, so this is actually my home now. But every time I go to Portugal, I try to see people that I usually see, twice or 3 times a year.
Manchester United, as we all know, is a family. So once you've played for the club, you'll always be respected, and we will definitely open arms to them, welcome them back.
We got a nice individual piece from a former player who had played for the country, but sort of the style of football and character who you were. So mine was...
Alongside me to tackle all of that, I am delighted to say I am back with the podcast team. Former United and England defender Phil Jones. Phil, how are you?
Very good. Good to be back.
Good to have you back. And as I said before, Liam, they've let us have a second episode.
Which is
that
astonishing.
Is breaking news.
Absolutely astonishing. Namely, and I'm really glad to say, we took something away from last week, didn't we? You went away and reorganised your entire wardrobe and now have
to make sure that all my shoes were matching.
Yeah, I love this. See?
So I do have a right shoe and a left shoe.
Positives
although I
to be
did have
taken.
another wardrobe malfunction with a pair of cream trousers.
I see. I wasn't even going to bring it up.
I
You
know,
didn't
I
need to
got
stitch yourself up like that.
Got some in the makeup room, got some brown eyeshadow on those.
It's going to be a running theme.
It does seem to be a running theme already, and it's only episode 2, but we are delighted to be back. And
Definitely.
The feedback from last week's episode was really good. It is quiet. It's a bit of a strange one in international break, isn't it, Phil?
Yeah, it's always a bit strange.
Well, obviously you did spend a lot of those times on international duty, but there were times probably
Yeah, but there's times when I wasn't
injured.
international. You know, there's maybe only a handful of players still left in the club. So, you know, the lads might get a little bit of time off to go away with the families or whatnot. But also you have to mix that with training as well. You have to get the right balance. So I'm sure they've been given a few days off, but I'm sure they'll be, you know, in between a few training sessions, maybe with the 21s for a few more numbers, maybe a behind closed doors game if there's lads who need more minutes.
Ruben Amorim would probably rather it wasn't an international break and to keep that momentum going. I know it wasn't a win at the weekend, but there's something about a last minute equaliser that feels good too, Liam.
Yeah, I mean, the last 16 minutes of that game against Spurs were absolutely bananas, weren't they? But again, Manchester United showing real character to make sure that they didn't lose that game. And again, we're having the same conversation where 6 months ago, I'm not sure they come back and draw that game. So it's a really valuable point. And actually from the block of 4 games that Manchester United have just had, it's 2 wins, 1 against Liverpool, 1 against Brighton, and then 2 draws against Forest. So 8 points out of a 4-game block would be enough to put Manchester United in or around the European places at the end of the season. They've just got to go and repeat that. So really good news. 5 games unbeaten. A chance now for everybody to just have a rest, recuperate, come back, re-energized and go again. And let's hope that next block running over and up until Christmas is exactly what we need it to be.
Well, we promised you exclusive conversations with key people here at the training ground last week. Of course, we had Jason Wilcox. He joined us for an exclusive chat focusing on the men's side of the game. And following that, we had plenty of comments asking for the same insight into the women's team too. We had some comments on our social media, one from Diego Fascia. Please interview our women's team too. They're doing great things. And another from Morales. More content like this, duration like this, or even more. And for the women's team too, we need this. So what did we do? We delivered, and today we are delighted to welcome Director of Women's Football, Matt Johnson, onto the podcast. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, good, thank you.
Good. I know it's a big week for you at the training ground here, so thank you for joining us. I'm sure you've got lots of things planned over the next few days ahead of a massive game, and we might as well just start with that. The countdown is on 8 o'clock Wednesday evening. The lights will be bright at Old Trafford, and there's no better feeling than a European night under the lights.
No, we're really looking forward to it. Obviously, Champions League, getting this far as the first for the club. We've had two really good games with two victories. But yeah, to play the first ever Women's Champions League match at Old Trafford will be special, following the footsteps of some great nights from the men's team there over the decades. So yeah, the girls are really looking forward to it, and it's something that I think the fan base and everyone connected is really excited about.
Are they aware of the fact that they're completing a series of firsts? They're the first Manchester United side to qualify for the Champions League, the first Manchester United side to play a Women's Champions League game at Old Trafford. Are they aware of that, the squad?
Good question. I think they're aware of it, and they know that they're setting lots of firsts and making history for the club, but I don't think they probably understand the magnitude of it. I think when you're living in the bubble and as a footballer, you eat, drink, play, train, football, you're in that cycle. So I don't think it'll only be when they stop and reflect, they'll understand the magnitude of having the first women's game at Old Trafford. So yes and no is the answer to that one.
They're bringing a couple of players back to Old Trafford, aren't they? In fact, Mary Earps, the last time that United played PSG was qualifying in, was it 2022-23 that season? And Mary Earps was in goal for Manchester United for both legs of that fixture. She comes back to Old Trafford, but the goalkeeper for PSG and Jackie Groenen hiding in the midfield as well. So there'll be some familiar faces, at least in that PSG side.
Yeah, no, some familiar faces that we know well. Manchester United, as we all know, is a family. So once you've played for the club, you'll always be respected, and we will definitely open arms to them, welcome them back. Good to have a chat with them, see how they're doing, etc. So yeah, it's always good to welcome old players back to Manchester United and see how they're doing. Yeah,
it was October 2023, so it was the 23-24 season. I got that one wrong. Look, I think it's brilliant to see how well they're doing. Is there a chance that, 2 wins from 2 games that they might actually go on and get out of the group stages here, which would be Fantasyland, wouldn't it? Yeah, I won't say Fantasyland. I know we're a bit more realistic. So what we want to do is go deep in all the competitions. And I generally believe that on any night, any day, the squad that we've got can compete with anyone in Europe. And I know Mark often says we're not scared of anyone. Most teams will be worried about playing Manchester United because of the way we play. So for us, a realistic goal for us is to at least qualify for the qualifying stages so we go into the new year in 2026 still in the Champions League. So we're probably 1 win away from achieving that one. But yeah, once you get on a roll and keep playing well, yeah, we want to make sure that we go deep in the Champions League and go as far as we can.
I should say that tickets are still available. I know there has been a little bit of chat about the 8 o'clock kickoff. We were just talking about that before, Phil, because I know your girls have been to watch the women's team quite a few times, a little bit late for some children, I know, but there are still tickets available, and that is just £15 for adults. And we are encouraging lots of students to go to the game, which will be a really nice atmosphere. And obviously, if you don't mind, a later bedtime for your children as well. So there are still tickets available for that one. So please do go and support the women's team on Wednesday evening. But Matt, we want to concentrate a little bit on you on this podcast and get to know a little bit more about you. As I said before, you are Director of Women's Football. Firstly, tell us what that role entails.
Yeah, for me, it's overseeing the women's programme at Manchester United. And yeah, it has 2 main parts really. On the pitch, which is like the sporting director element of the role, where you're looking after the recruitment, the training environment, the playing philosophy, working with the manager, etc. So very much like a tracksuit sporting director. And the other half then is working within the club around sort of the sustainable and the business element of the role. So that would be around the commercial and sponsorship, the marketing and the media, and then like the ticket sales to enable that we've got the economic environment that can sustain a good team on the pitch. So yeah, it oversees both, half tracksuit, half suit, half boardroom, half pitch.
You've come from a background as well, haven't you, of coaching. So do you prefer the tracksuit or do you prefer the businessman?
Yeah, it's a good question in that probably I've been involved in women's football a long time. So played as a kid playing football, was at Derby County within their youth programmes up to the age of 16. and then got released and went into semi-pro football. But obviously playing semi-pro football needed sort of a career alongside that. So got into coaching and then into sports development. And then ended up working on the business sides of like charitable organisations, Sport England, Greater Sport, places like that. So always had this dual career where I've like never specialised at one thing, but been on the grass doing my A licence badges. I've been in the back room doing strategy, running small charities, learning how you do accountancy and business. So in a way, it's been great training for this role because it means I've not been blinkered down one. I've got a rounded skill set that hopefully allows me to manoeuvre within this function of this job, really.
And similar to last week with Jason Wilcox, you have another connection to Blackburn Rovers. We don't just bring Blackburn Rovers peoples on Phil, because you started there at the Centre of Excellence. How many years ago was that?
Oh, it was probably about 10, 11 years ago. And I had, good 5-6 years at Blackburn Rovers. Really enjoyed my time there, actually.
But that still wasn't, women's football wasn't where it is now, even only 10 years ago, which is crazy to think about that. What has developed since your time, for example, at Blackburn to now? In academy football, yeah.
Yeah, I think academy football now is probably getting more and more professional. Back in the time when I was at Blackburn, we had a really good programme, but we basically trained twice a week for a couple of hours each night, so 4 hours training, and then you would play on a Saturday or a Sunday against other academy teams in there. And we did really well, like people like Kira Walsh, Georgia Stanway, we signed and we developed and trained at the time, now are major lionesses, so did really well. Compare that to now where the girls are training at least 3 to 4 days a week. They've got professional staff full time, not just casual. Like our under 21s, they're training 4 to 5 times a week. They're playing in a national league. They're staffing a full time, and basically they get everything in terms of like resources that the first team do. So they'll have a nutritionist, they get analysts, they've got all the tech stuff. So yeah, from where it's gone from being what I would say very good amateur level to now more professionalised.
They've got a real chance of getting through in the league phase of that competition as well, haven't they? They're flying high at the top of the league. Yeah,
21's our academy girls program for a long period of time has been really, really successful. It's produced some really good teams and done well in like FA Youth Cups, and we're starting to see the benefit of that now with some of our younger players coming through into our first team. And a lot of them are now out on loan and doing really well. So yeah, this Manchester United, developing young players is what we do, is what we need to do. So yeah, it's good to see they're doing really well. They have qualified to the next phase, so it means that you're playing against the better teams more regularly. And that's the important thing. It's not necessarily always winning the trophies at 21s, but it's giving the players those opportunities to play against the best players regularly, because that will improve them more. So yeah, there's been a really good first half of the season for the 21s.
It's exciting.
And obviously, just talking about academy football, obviously the men's team here have that incredible record that we know. How important is it for you to have similar pathways for the girls coming through the academy into the first team here?
Yeah, no, it's really important. I think that's part of the Manchester United DNA. And as we're one big family club, it's important that we adopt that. And we're really proud of the fact that actually, like the men, since it was reincepted back in 2018, we've always had a homegrown youth player, not only within our matchday squad like the men's team, but within our starting 11. A lot of them appearances are by people like Ella Tu, Millie Turner, Gabby George, Katie Zellum in the past. But yeah, we've had some really good youth players who are integral to our first team squad. So yeah, we can go one step better and say that yeah, our starting 11's always had a homegrown young player in its starting 11.
There's that really nice footage, isn't there, of Ella at the cliff, and I think she was like 10, 11 years old, that was going around social media not too long ago. And as you say, it's so important to keep that going for the girls. So in terms of your current role and the first team here at the club, we talked a little bit to Jason Wilcox last week about transfers. So I want to bring you onto that and find out how that works in the women's team. Is it quite similar process to the men's side?
Yeah, it's identical. I know that's probably one of the big changes within the game, in that now what you're seeing, like you've seen this summer, £1 million transfer fees, agents are significant in the game as well. So yeah, the way we do the transfers is identical to the men. So we go through the same process that the club has. We work with the same director of negotiations in Matt Hargreaves. So yeah, everything is joined up, and it's 100% the same.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting case study for you guys this summer, I guess. Within the realms of what, like almost the same as Jason Wilcox, within the realms of what you can tell us, Jess Park's arrival has been really helpful to the side. But happened quite late in the window, and it was sort of part of a swap deal in inverted commas. Can you explain sort of what went on there?
Yeah, I think what's important is that we understand what kind of team we want to be. And then when you understand that, you can then fit what kind of profile players will make that team more effective. And we've always identified Jess Parker as a player that has a profile that we think, and Jason would have talked about profiling of players is really important when you bring them in with the right personality and character. So Jess always fitted that. But obviously with the red and blue rivalry, moving players between the two teams is extremely difficult, stroke impossible. But again, going back to Helen's question, obviously, what we're doing now is renegotiating contracts a lot sooner because we want to retain our best players. Unfortunately, Grace wanted to move on. We couldn't, whatever we put in front, she didn't accept. So then it allowed us to actually, we don't want to lose Grace, but she wants to move on. Let's learn from the past and let players move on out free. But it also gives us leverage to go back to Manchester City and go, there's a player here that we think would suit our profile. Can we do a deal here? And that's how it sort of came around, really, in terms of like, yeah, just being able to understand what we want to get out of the deal. That helps Manchester United.
It's part of a sort of recruitment policy over the summer for this team that brought in the youth with Jess Park and the ability that she has, and then the experience of players like Fridolina Rolfo and Giulia Zigliotti. How important is it to balance those things when you are going through a recruitment phase in either window?
Yeah, really important balance within squad with any dynamic we're talking about. So what we did was 12 months ago, we went very much down. We got moved on a lot of older players and we brought in a lot of younger players. So you saw people like Anna Sandberg this year came in 12 months ago, who was only 20 years old. You got Simi Awuju, the same similar age. So last year we brought in 5 or 6 really young players that we knew had potential and we could grow. We felt this year going into the Champions League, and having performed so well last year, we need to bring in players with a little bit more experience, but also knowledge of playing in big environments. So if you look at Jess with the Lionesses and Man City having played in the Champions League, she brought that as well as the qualities and profile we were looking at. Giulia has played with Bayern Munich in the Champions League and obviously made over 50 appearances for Sweden. And the same Fridolina as well. She's been in the Champions League since she was a teenager and is probably one of the most capped players in the Champions League, has won it, but in both German clubs and Spanish clubs. So yeah, it just gives us our young players to look up and know that the players in the changing room that have won it, they know how to win it, they know how to compete in it. And yeah, that was really important in our recruitment this year.
Just looking at the quality that you're talking about there, the quality you have on the pitch, Phil, what's impressed you most when you've been to watch the women's team?
Well, first and foremost, I think the progression of women's football over the last 5-6 years, especially at this club, has been phenomenal. When I took the girls love going watching. Some of the patterns of play they have and the areas of the pitch that they work on is, some of the goals they score is terrific. So I've really enjoyed watching the progression. I've really enjoyed watching, the young players come through and progress as well. You talked there that I think they've got a really good balance in the team at the minute. So I've really enjoyed it. And like you touched on, it's important. The club, the DNA, the history of the club, follows suit, and it's exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Talking about that youth and experience, I know you've mentioned that there, but how important, Phil, do you think that is for a changing room environment?
Yeah, it's massive. You've got to have a really good balance in the team. It's important that you have, like you said, that those key players and the key positions and in the big moments and the big games who have that vast experience and knowledge of know-how, how to get over the line in certain games, or if you're behind in a certain game, it needs calm. It needs, it's just the know-how and the ability to grab the game by the scruff of the neck in certain times, and obviously the youth, helping those older players and having the right balance in the mix, and I think they're doing it really, really well.
I think the other beauty of this dressing room, and again, this is slightly from the outside looking in, is the characters that you've got in there as well. There are some big personalities, the likes of Rach Williams, she's just absolutely brilliant, and Melvin Mallar, who has now been at the club for much longer than you realise, but she's always got a smile on her face, brings the energy. You've got a lovely mixture, haven't you, across the dressing room of those big characters, some quieter ones, some leaders. It's great.
Yeah, I think that's the special thing about this group. It is the changing room, and the fact that we've got loads of really good characters within the environment, but it's so cohesive. They are generally best of friends. They all die for each other on that pitch. They'll work really hard, and Phil will know, when you get a change room that is so connected and together, they can achieve more than some of its parts. And I think that's what's been so good about this group over the last 12 to 18 months, is the fact that you've got this really cohesive group that want to play for Man United, enjoy playing for Man United, are proud of playing for Man United. And you see that in buckets when they go out on the pitch. And that's the special bit for me with this group.
We haven't seen you appear on any TikToks yet, though, Matt.
No.
Is there still time?
There's always time.
Not at all. I've got daughters as well who live on scrolling through TikTok.
Yeah.
So I see it from afar and I think, no, that's not for me.
I have to say, though, they are really, really funny. And it's such an insight into the dressing room and that friendship that you talk about. It really is transparent when you see it. I'm not saying that it has to be done through TikTok. You can see it in other ways. But you really can see, as you say, the girls really are the best of friends, and what a difference that will make going out in that pitch every week.
Yeah, I think we've got 4 behaviours that we talk about in the changing room, and one of them is being authentic. And I think what I like about the TikToks and stuff that they put out there, it's authentic. That's them in their own environment. It shows how safe and comfortable they feel. And actually, I think it's good for the fan base, because then they get a little insight about the characters and the personalities of the players, and it helps you connect with them and follow them further. So we endorse it. It's good what they do. Some of it is funny, some of it's terrible, but I think they're really good actually.
I think we need to make an agreement that when Manchester United win the Champions League this season, we will get you on a TikTok.
Okay, deal.
Yeah.
Are we making that deal? I think that needs to be done with Ella, not maybe with us.
I'll go and have,
Are you going to start
have a word.
TikTok?
Yeah, no, I'll just go and have a word with them. That's fine. I'll sort it.
I also wanted to ask probably what the future looks like. We've talked about how much has been built over the last couple of years. You've obviously been promoted to the director of football role. What does the next few years look like, do you think, for Manchester United women?
Yeah, I think we've got to continue, like Phil said, on that journey of where we're at. We're nowhere near the finished article. I think the obvious things are we want to improve the squad. If we're going to compete in 4 to 5 competitions every year, we want to develop the depth of that squad and bring in more quality players so we can sustain our performances over a long period of time. We want to continue developing the infrastructure around the place. They've got an amazing environment, but I think we can go even further. So, it's supporting around the nutrition, the medical, etc. So, we want to bring in more infrastructure around them. And then the final thing is, for me, off the pitch, developing the fan base. Like Phil said, it's an amazing atmosphere. It's a really good spectacle. And what we want to try and do is grow that fan base, and more people come and watch the Manchester United women. I think that's really important off the pitch. Because
it does make such a difference to the girls having the stadium fill.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest priority, is can we have a women's team that plays in full crowds, so in full capacities. So whether that's at the Unity of Progress Stadium in Leigh, where we can get 12,000, or whether it's when we have the special games at Old Trafford, there is nothing better than playing in a full house, because it's just a different atmosphere rather than having half a stadium full. So that's definitely a priority.
I've loved that chat. It's been great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, Matt, thank you, and all the best for Wednesday evening.
Thank you.
Inside Carrington is presented by United Store, the official home of exclusive United merchandise. Great to have Matt Johnson with us there. And Liam, you'll be in the studio on Wednesday night doing a watch along?
Yeah, actually, I think we're going to be hiding out in hotel football for various UEFA-based reasons. So we are doing a live watch along on the women's YouTube channel. Essentially, we watch the game. We give you a blow-by-blow. It works even better this time out because I think the game's on the BBC, which means you can sort of second screen us. So you can have the women's game on the telly.
Yeah.
And you'll get me and my guests as we're talking through the game as it happens, giving you a little bit of insight, some stats here and there. So that's available for you on the Manchester United Women's YouTube channel. Will be available live. If you want to get involved in the comments and stuff, you just need to make sure that you're subscribed. And if you hit the notification bell as well, that will make absolutely certain you know that when we go live.
So that is only if you can't be at Old Trafford on Wednesday evening. As I mentioned earlier, tickets start at just £15 for adults, with reduced rate of £10 for those under 16 and over 66. And also, we are offering a 25% student discount. To do that, you use the code PSG Student 25 at the checkout. And you, of course, have to have your valid student ID and There will be discounted food and drinks for students as well. No better reason to get to Old Trafford, is
What a
there?
Wednesday night
What
that,
a Wednesday
that
night.
could be.
So we've got two options. You can either be at Old Trafford or you can watch Liam. That is your only two options for Wednesday evening. Okay, as we saw earlier, the players' areas are a little bit quieter than usual with our international Reds travelling to the furthest corners of the footballing world. Where's the furthest place you've been with England, Phil?
Oh, good question.
I really threw that on you, didn't
No,
I?
you stumped. Cheers for that.
Just name a country, any country.
Argentina.
Argentina?
No, it's not. Furthest place, probably Brazil with the World Cup.
It's a good answer.
Pretty far.
Yeah, probably Brazil.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer. Well, Diogo Dalot and his teammates are not going as far. They're making the trip to Dublin. We caught up with him recently.
So Diogo, we're here in the reception area of Carrington. I just wanted to have a little catch up with you and find out what happens when you head off for international duty. So initially, after the Spurs game, what is the next few days looking like for you?
It really depends. Sometimes we start camps. This season is a bit different because we always play Saturday, and we have that Sunday off. Sometimes our camps start even on Tuesday, so we can have this 1 or 2 days to go home, actually be with the family in our home countries, which didn't happen before because we always play on Sunday and then on Monday would start straight again the camp. So it's a bit different. You can have more time with the family, probably do other things that you don't have time to do when you're back home. But I would say that straight after the game, I'll probably do my recovery and then the next day fly to Portugal.
I feel like this is the biggest question that everyone wants to know, but do you travel alone or do you catch a lift with Bruno Fernandes there or any other Portuguese players that are based around the northwest?
No, we just go EasyJet or Ryanair flights. We take our flights because obviously it's just 2 hours from Portugal, so we are close by. And fortunately, we have a lot of direct flights, so we just go. All the family, we go straight in. Sometimes we go even in the same plane. So.
But that'll be lovely then, won't it?
Yeah, it's fine.
Now, whilst you're travelling to Ireland next week, does that mean you have a little bit of more time that you have before you report for Portugal duty because it is so close playing in Ireland?
I wouldn't say so. I think it's even worse because you have to start straight back. Yeah, we just probably go to Portugal and after 2 or 3 days we have to fly to Ireland. So it would be best if the second game was here because then you could stay already closer. To be honest, we cannot complain because the South Americans have to do a longer travel, so we just have to fly 2 hours. It's not that bad.
How different is training on international duty than it is club?
It's just different. Because the teammates are different, the atmosphere is different, the managers are different, so two different, completely different styles. But it's also good because you're playing with friends that you played all your life, especially sometimes in the lower divisions and even in the academy. So you grew up with those type of players and you become friends with. And sometimes it's just refreshing to go home and see your family, see your teammates in your home country. I think it's always special for you when international breaks come.
I guess everyone forgets that because when you are in club duty, there's so much togetherness, you get to know each other every single day. But in international duty, you've made such a really good point that you've grown up with some of these players. So even if you're apart for so many weeks, it just must feel like home every time you're with them.
Yeah, obviously I think it's a little bit different. I'm not going to say harder, but different for foreign players because you're away from the country that you're in. I don't call it home anymore because I'm here for a long time, so this is actually my home now. But every time I go to Portugal, I try to see people that I usually see, twice or 3 times a year because I'm away. And before I came to England, I would see them probably twice a month. So this is the type of relationships that you miss some bits, and every time you go home, you just try to be with them.
And then finally, you've just hinted at it already, but you are such a family man. Is that always the biggest priority when you get any little bit of downtime?
Yeah, because I know it's not just for me, because I know that being with them is also special for them, and being away for so many years now and for so long, and although it's easy now for them to travel because the amount of hours you need to travel is not that big, but to fit into a calendar year with the work and everything. It's hard for them to go abroad. So if I have the opportunity to go to Portugal, I think it's even better. And to be with them, I think it has to be. It's not a big priority, but it's very special because I know how special it is for them as well.
Well, thanks very much for having a little chat with me.
Thank you very much.
A brilliant insight into what happens on international duty from Diogo there. And I suppose it is very different for foreign players, Phil, because they are getting to go home. The English players, you're always at home, so it's not really that much difference. But for them, they don't see their families all the time. The culture is different. The weather, should we say, is very different. So it's probably really nice for them to go home for that period, regroup, I suppose.
Yeah, they'll 100% look forward to it. I mean, what I would say is probably the players we're talking about in the current team, the miles, the air miles they've probably got to do as well is it's quite a big number. But yeah, they'll really enjoy it. As you said, probably a bit of warm weather and regroup and refocus on the international break and come back fit, ready to go again.
Is Diogo not going to Dublin? He might be in for a bit of a shock.
He's going to Portugal first.
Oh, is he going to Portugal
He's
first?
going to get a little bit of vitamin D and then heading to Dublin.
I was going to say in for a rude awakening if you're heading to Dublin for a bit of warm weather training. Goodness me.
Listen, the sun's always shining in Dublin. And you are on international duty yourself because you're doing the game this week, Phil.
Yeah, no, I'm doing a little covering a little bit for BBC on the game against Serbia.
It's tough opposition, that.
Yeah, it's tough opposition. But I think England are in really good moment at the minute. We talked about balance in the squad. I think they've got a really good balance at the minute. And you like to be hopeful and optimistic heading into the tournament. But let's see. Let's see where we are. How
much did you enjoy those international breaks? I know we talk about a change of scenery, but it's a change of scenery, change of personnel.
I think it determines on how personally, individually I did leading into the break, and also collectively as a team. You know, if you're playing well and you've won, it's great going internationals, but also you've got to remember that you could be playing against the game prior to going internationals. You could be playing against some of your teammates in internationals. If it doesn't go well, it's always a bit. Not awkward, but it's a bit awkward. You know, it's very awkward. You know, especially if I'm playing against, I don't know, Harry Kane when he was at Tottenham, and then you're playing with him at the weekend, and he might have put 2 in, or we might have. Well, it's difficult, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed playing for my country, and yeah, had some really fond memories.
So you made your debut against Montenegro, is that right?
Montenegro, yeah.
In a game where Wayne Rooney gets sent off. What do you remember about your debut?
Yeah, I mean, I think I played right back that game. I think it was. And I knew I was going to play leading into the game, so I had 5-6 days to prepare for the game. Obviously played in the 21s, but it was obviously a big occasion for me to make my senior debut. Wayne gets sent off, I think 24 minutes. I think he has a little kick out, one of the defenders. And then we was 2-0 up, I think, in the game. Then I think we struggled for the rest of the game. I think they equalised like in the last 10 minutes, but we managed to get a 2-2 draw. But yeah, again, great occasion for myself, my family, my friends to make my senior bow for England.
What have you done with your cap, that first one?
I've actually got a little room at home where I've got a replica of the Premier League trophy, and my caps that I wore even when I was in the 19s, 21s, and all my senior caps. I've got them in a nice display at home.
Yeah, I think that was the first time I realised you actually get a specific cap. Did you know that, Liam?
I did, yes.
A specific cap for each
yeah, it's nice as well because they put like obviously the team you're playing against, the date. It's a nice touch.
Didn't you also get like a golden cap or something?
No, that's only if you make about 100.
Right, okay. No, but you went down to Wembley last year to collect a significant...
No, I was going to, but then it got postponed, so I still need to go and get the cap. But it is a nice touch from the FA what they do. You know.
And what is that for?
So I think it's recognising everyone who played for England. It's almost like a respectful
cap.
Sort of... Yeah.
Are those the caps that have got the number on of what player you were for England?
Yes. So I think when we went to the Euros or the World Cup, we got given it was a really nice touch again. So when we arrived into our rooms, we had like a little tag, and that was the number of players who had obviously made the senior debut and what you came in that category. Yeah. So I was 5, whatever it was, and then also we got a nice individual piece from a former player who had played for the country, but sort of the style of football and character who you were. So mine was Terry Butcher.
Nice.
So it was a nice message from him leading into the World Cup, and it was a nice touch, really nice.
Oh, so that was put in your room when you
Yeah,
arrived?
so in our room we arrived. You have, pictures displayed of your family because you're away for quite a long time.
Yeah.
No, it was really nice.
What a nice thing to do. So you made your bow under which manager?
It was Fabio Capello.
Fabio Capello. And then played for every England manager between Fabio Capello to, I don't know who. The only one that you didn't play for was Sam Allardyce, and that was only because you didn't have enough time because he was only there for a couple.
Yeah, one game. But I obviously did have Big Sam at Blackburn, so it would have been nice, but it didn't materialise.
When you look at all the games you've played, the camps you've played in, 2 World Cups, 2014 and 2018, and of course the Euros in 2012, which was your favourite?
That's a great question. My favourite from a personal point of view, and obviously we had a poor tournament. I think in Brazil we was out of the competition after 2 games, but to make my senior debut in a World Cup, it gives me goosebumps now thinking about it, against Costa Rica. Is that something that as a little boy you can only dream of doing, and to stand there and sing the national anthem and you're playing and representing your country was an incredible moment for me. One that I'll always remember, albeit it was a disappointment because I think the game ended 0-0. I don't think we even scored in the group stage. So difficult moment, but on a personal note, really, really, really highlight for me. I think even watching England in the past few years, obviously the finals and the semi-finals they've got to us, it's different now when you finish playing, but because you have so many friends that are still playing, Harry and Luke and Mason when he's been in there, like it's hard to see them fail or not fail, but just not get over the final hurdle what they deserve to.
And what that feeling is like, the pressure of the whole country on you. Is it a different sort of pressure than playing at Manchester United? How would you compare? Or would you say it's the closest
do you know what?
thing to
I
playing at United?
I remember we used to have little discussions in individually at England. They started to do it under Roy Hodgson. And I remember Gary Neville obviously was a coach at the time. He pulled us in. And I remember him he asked me a question and said, do you feel more pressure playing for Man United or England? Now, I can only speak from my point of view, but I always felt much more pressure playing for Man United than England. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I know Jason touched on it in the last podcast that, pressure is a privilege. Mm-hmm. But I always felt not more relaxed, that's the wrong word to say, but I felt less pressure playing for England than I did for Man United. And I suppose that shows the magnitude and how big Man United is.
Yeah. So internationals, of course, this week, and then normal service will resume. I bet you hate international week, Liam, do you?
Actually, no, it gives me a little bit of time to breathe. It also means I get to focus on like the 18s and the 21s and the women's games that are coming up as well.
Yeah, I forgot you don't actually get a break, do you?
I really enjoy that.
Sorry for that.
Yeah, quite looking forward to that. Also, international breaks give me the opportunity to go and watch football with friends, and I don't get the chance to do that very often either. So the chance
Who
just
will
to
you be
nip
watching?
to the pub.
What teams?
I might go and watch England on Thursday. Just nip to the pub with friends. I just don't get to do it so often. You're
nip to Wembley?
working. Yeah, no. No, I'm not that brave. Just a mile.
Okay, so that is almost it for our second episode of Inside Carrington. But we do want to get you involved every week, and you can get involved via YouTube, Spotify, where else, Liam?
Anywhere that has a comment section is probably the best way to do it. So if you get it on iTunes or, whichever podcast store that you use, if you just leave a comment in the review, we'll be able to spot those over the course of the week and we can use them as we go forward.
Yep, so questions, comments, suggestions for guests, please do let us know. And that is everything for the week. As I said, don't worry, the Premier League will be back before you know it, and so will we. Phil, what's your plans for this week? Obviously, I've said you're going to do the game, aren't you? England-Serbia.
Yes.
Anything else planned?
I've got a little bit for the Premier League tomorrow down in London. Game on Thursday, and then just watch a bit of international.
You're a busy man. We'll have to try and get a paddle game booked in.
That would be good.
A podcast paddle game.
Yeah, I like this idea.
I need to.
Who's Liam's partner though?
I know. I need to get another woman on board.
Because we're a good partnership at the minute.
We've played one game, Phil. That's it, guys. That is the end. Enjoy your week ahead.
And you?
Enjoy the women's game on Wednesday. And Phil, enjoy the England game.
Thank you very much.
And I'm going to chill for the week. I think that's what I'm going to do.
Oh, feet up.
I'm going to be getting prepared for next week's podcast. That's what I'm going to be doing. So we will see you there. Bye-bye.
See you there.